I love to call on Jesus' name because he we said he would. Well, now there's a man, and that is why. Whoa, yeah. That's why. Well, you know the Lord, he works in mysterious way, his wonders to behold. How he plants his footsteps on every way, and he lightens every load. When he speaks my name, when the battle is tough, oh, I got Jesus, and that's enough. That's why. I love to call on Jesus' name because we said he would. Well, now there's a man, and that is why. Oh, yeah. That's why. Well, he's my way.
Hey, Topher, we on? We're on? Yeah? Okay. Welcome to Presbycast. We are live on AM 980, The Blessin', Appalachia's #1 Christian radio station, as far as we know. Our coal-powered mountaintop transmitter reaches most of East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, Eastern Kentucky, the good part, the South Carolina upcountry, and even a little bit of North Georgia, not including Covenant College. Some of our podcast listeners are unaware of the fact we have an over-the-air terrestrial radio presence. So this time we're recording it for you so we can prove it. But today's a special day because we are live on location for the very first time at Xander's Exian. It is Exian, right? Xander's Exian bookstore.
Action.
Xander's Exian bookstore and lifestyle outfitters. That is Xander with an X. Chortles, what are we doing here?
Well, it's quite a place. So it's sort of like Wheaton collided with Dollywood and Bass Pro and Home Depot. That's kind of weird. And it's McClatchy County's premier Christian store. You can tell it's a Christian store because you can hear the song Oceans on repeat on the on the sound system in the background. And there's nothing we can do about that. But Oceans, one after the other. But anyway, it's a pretty big deal in this county. McClatchy County is it's considered one of America's churchiest and most church counties. For the third year in a row, it's ranked #1. You know, there are only about 20,000 people in the county, but there are 350 Baptist churches, and there are 50 other churches, I think, besides that. And we may talk about that later, but we're going to learn some interesting facts about the area and all that. So that's where we are, Resby.
Well, can't wait for that.
So when you arrived here to the remote, we come from different directions. Did you notice anything weird about the old Christian lifestyle store?
At first, to be honest with you, I thought it was a lumberyard. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. We're pro lumberyard, pro local economy, and all that. But explain. I think you figured it out. Explain to our live radio listeners, and we hope many of them will stop by today. Come in and see us at Xander's Christian Lifestyle Store. Get a free T-shirt or coffee mug, or we have taco racks now with the logo on them. But explain why you thought it was a lumberyard in particular. I suspect it has something to do with some of the unique product lines that Xander offers here.
Yeah, I mean, credit to him. It's really a full-service place, and with all these small churches upgrading their look and their vibe, it's, I guess it's pretty cool that Xander stocks the architectural wood products that every church needs these days. We're famous for remarking about the ability to repurpose shiplap, but pallets, barnwood, shiplap, industrial ductwork, all things that I saw stacked up outside. So it was confusing. But now it makes total sense. It's not just a Christian lifestyle store. It's like a crate and barrel for church plants. And so, like any good, hardware store, industrial supply store, they've got a food truck outside. So loving the Los Bubba's Hillbilly Taco Truck in the parking lot too. Had more than a couple of those.
Yes, Los Bubba's is a local favorite. It's the home of the gravy taco, so we like it. Maybe some of the staff here can run out and get us a couple of those gravy tacos. We'd enjoy that. But for now, we really need to speak to the nice young lady who's responsible for bringing us here on and getting us out here as a service of AM 980, The Blessing, and for making us feel so welcome. And that is weekend store manager. Her name is Chastity Faith Adams. Chastity, put on that headset. Yep. Okay, hang on. Yep, put it on, and we'll help you adjust it. Okay, Chastity Faith Adams. I have to say that's quite a name. I think the old Puritans called a name like that a hortatory name.
A what? Excuse me?
Hortatory is sort of a virtue name, not what you're thinking. A Christian character name, a virtue name. Chastity, faith, all that.
You're not from around here, are you? You're not Baptist either, are you?
No on both counts.
Shh, I'd keep quiet about that if I were you.
Okay, no offense. It's okay. That we're not Baptist and we know it. We'll deal with that.
Right.
Chastity Faith Adams, and that's CFA is what that works out to. Do you mind if we call you CFA? Like Chick-fil-A.
Okay, but no nugget jokes.
Okay, no problem. You do have a Chick-fil-A here in McClatchy County, I'll bet, though, being so evangelical and all that.
12 locations, actually.
Okay, so
hold on. 12 Chick-fil-A's in a county with only one real town and 20,000 people in the whole county?
And 400 churches, 350 which are Baptist. It's what we in the Christian lifestyle industrial complex call a market. We have the only 5-lane drive-through Chick-fil-A in the whole world. And our Chick-fil-A's have some unique secret menu items.
I'm afraid to ask, but I guess I'm sort of the food guy here, but tell me about the secret items.
Okay, well, you got to keep this between you and me, but we have gravy salad, gravy milkshake, actual biscuits.
Okay, so this is something I can't get behind. Sorry to interrupt you, but like actual biscuits at a Chick-fil-A would be a bit of a game changer.
Okay, well, you actually have to keep this between us, but to be honest, they get them from a local gas station, but they're good. They just mark them up.
Secret's safe with me. I love gas station biscuits. I'm famous for loving gas station biscuits. Everybody tells me you'd be so impressed with the people who say how much I love them.
I guess you're in luck.
I should probably, I hate to correct you and sound like that guy, but as Calvinists, you may not have heard of those. We would say that Resby has been providentially favored, not lucky. But anyway, Chastity, or CFA as we like to call you, tell us about this place, this store, Xander's Christian Lifestyle Store and Outfitters.
Well, we're pretty famous for all of our unique sections.
Go on.
Okay, so for example, a really popular one is babes in boots and hats.
Oh, okay. You're going to have to explain that one.
Babes in boots and hats section. Where else would we put all the hot female authors like Jen Hatmaker, Rachel Hollis? I mean, we have a girl wash her face subsection with an actual sink and complimentary facial care products right there on the aisle. The Baptist Beth Moore section, which we call a section, but it's about half the store. It includes hairbrushes, of course, and there are mirrors everywhere because appearance is important, and skillets. We sell Beth Moore skillets.
Okay, so you call it Baptist Beth Moore. I guess the releases are from the previous phase of her career because she's not really a Baptist anymore.
Well,
no pun intended, anymore.
Well, we heard she's Anglican or something. Whatever that is, we don't have any in this county. She's still a big seller, though.
Any other sections?
Well, there's what we call the Furt, Furtick, Stephen Furtick. Very popular. There's one really unique thing about that section. We took a look at the demographic that buys Furtick merch, and one thing stood out. 84% of them vape.
I thought I smelled something. It sort of smelled like someone crashed a dump truck into an industrial cotton candy factory.
Ah, you're pretty smart. Cotton candy and grape are very popular flavors. Anyways, we got special approval from the city to allow vaping in the Furtick section only. It's actually the only store in the entire county that allows vaping in the store at all. It's really not that bad. We get complaints sometimes, but sometimes the smell of Axe body spray actually overpowers the vape smell. But anyway, that's a huge section.
I mean, I guess Axe body spray is pretty flammable, so I guess it's good that it's just vaping. Do you also stock those big pink puffy sweaters he wears?
No, but Camo Anything sells well.
Just ask Kamala.
Yeah, well, and what her running mate, we can't even remember what he was called, but he wore Tim Walsingham, that was his name. So what else do you sell here? What other sections do you have?
So, women authors are our biggest sellers. We put the second tier authors in what we call the sassy section. You put sassy in the title and it sells. Of course, the cover needs a sassy picture too.
Well, that makes perfect sense to us because we're very online and we're familiar with these strange things from X, formerly known as Twitter. So obviously we understand how all this works.
And we've got kind of a long history on this particular subject, but she may be on the decline now from a future or a past economic reality. But anything Ann Voskamp in here?
Oh yeah, we have the Voskamp Markdown Brokenness Bargain Barn. The floor is covered in lentils and straw. The straw soaks up the tears. It sort of smells funny.
Yikes. All right.
Okay, well, we should, we're sort of a theological podcast, and so we have to ask, do you have a theology section with theology books in it?
Oh, for sure. It's that shelf over there next to the Kenneth Copeland Cabana.
Good grief. It looks small and dusty. I looked at it earlier. It's about 3 Wayne Grudem books and some dispensational wall charts, who I saw back in 1998.
It's not popular. Now, there are a couple of John Calvin books that we keep behind the counter. We'll sell them, but we don't want kids getting a hold of them. You have to show ID.
Like a Spencer's.
Well, it sounds like you're very conscientious, which is good. So we, some of us are PCA, and some of us are, we run in those circles, the Presbyterian Church in America, PCA. So do you have any PCA books or thing by PCA guys?
PZA. Is he a rapper like Lil PZA? I think we have a CD.
No. PCA is not a rapper. PCA, it stands for, like I said before, Presbyterian Church in America. Like Tim Keller, Ligon Duncan, R.C. Sproul. Surely you've sold some R.C. Sproul books.
R.C. Cola? No, we only have Fresca and Monster Energy.
I mean, I do like the white monsters, but R.C. Sproul's actually a person. It's a dude. And you haven't heard of any of those guys?
No, I don't think so. We might have had a special order for Tim Keller book once. Or what that Helen Keller? Sorry, we do have the As Seen on TV section, which is really just As Seen on TBN if you want to know the truth. Anyway, very popular with a certain type of person.
Okay. So you do sell music. CDs, cassettes, preloaded MP3 players, vintage vinyl?
Yeah, sure. We have all of that. We have both kinds of music.
Both?
Southern Gospel and CCM. We tried some Southern CCM, but wow, it was really bad. Just Southern Gospel and CCM. We keep it simple. We'd be interested in Christian Bro Country if we could get it. That would probably sell if we could get it. If Baptists were allowed beer, there could definitely be Christian Bro Country, but without the beer and margaritas, I just don't see how it could work.
They're doing amazing things with NA stuff nowadays.
Okay, well, we may get in trouble for talking about beer or bro, maybe even bros. I don't know. This seems to be a female-dominated industry in some ways, but Chastity Faith Adams, again, CFA, as we like to call you, should we be surprised that CCM is so big out here in the sticks and, among the hillbillies in the rural mountain area like this?
Well, no, churches here want to be cool too, which leads us to 2 other very important profit centers, or should I say, retail ministry areas, architectural elements, and facility rental.
Architectural elements? Oh, okay. Like the pallets and stuff out front?
Yeah, and we have them on the walls here too, so the church plants that rent our space feel like they're in a real church.
Okay. Because there are pallets and random boards behind the stage of every other church these days, right?
Well, yeah. One sad thing did happen with the ecclesial wood products. There was this old man whose church was meeting here. He got here really early and thought the pallets and stuff were a mistake. He got a hammer out of his truck and started breaking the pallets down. It was sad and costly.
Okay, well, enough about the pallets and shiplap and discarded building materials, which are thought to be essential to churches today.
Reclaimed building materials.
That's right. Well, I see you have the other essential ecclesial element. You have a coffee bar, and you've very creatively named it Holy Grounds. But what I want to know is whether the coffee is any good.
No, probably because we don't hire baristas that have nose piercing or gross tattoos, so it's different than Starbucks. We actually get a lot of our employees from worship bands in the area. They feel almost like real musicians if they only have a part-time job that pays really bad besides their other gigs and like Sunday sets. We had to stop hiring drummers though. We do not hire drummers anymore. And to be honest, we've had a really bad time with bass players too. Drummers and bass players will bathe in the restroom if you aren't careful.
I've been in a couple bands, and everything you've said here is accurate. One of the things that always drove me crazy is when folks would come in. We got 20 minutes for practice, and of course 19 and a half minutes is they just end up jamming and messing with the pedals. Do you ever let them jam in the store?
No, we draw the line at that, but on Saturdays we let them busk on the sidewalk outside until someone complains or a breaker gets thrown.
I guess that's spirit-filled, I would say. Do you rent the space out for concerts too?
Yes, but we get a percentage of the merch.
Store's got to eat too, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of business, you guys are in for a real treat. Here comes our owner, the one and only Xander, in his custom motorized chair.
It sounds like he's honking his little power chair horn at us. Does he have some sort of disability?
No, he just thinks it looks cool.
He kind of looks a little bit like a supervillain or maybe a crime boss. Is that a gold lame jacket?
Yes, he's very image conscious. Please address him only as Mr. Xander. Mr. Xander, can you talk with these gentlemen for a second?
What?
Mr. Xander?
What can I do for you, young lady manager?
It's Chastity, sir.
Chastity? Around here? Seems unlikely. Get it? Oh my. What do you need? I'm on the way to the marina.
Oh, yes, I forgot to tell you, gentlemen, that Mr. Xander is a proud boat owner.
Yeah, if you look out the window, I'm pulling the boat in my new Raptor. But that's yacht owner, little lady. 110 feet long with 2 hot tubs, a doggy pool, and I named her Beth Moore.
You named your yacht Beth Moore.
Absolutely. Beth Moore's been a big seller here for decades. And you might say Beth Moore paid for Beth Moore, you see? You know Miss Beth Moore was supposed to do a book signing here once, but her motorcade got tangled up in a funeral procession. Complete disaster. It was a dark day.
Mr. Xander, my name's Chortles. Thank you for having us here today. I'm sure you could tell us a lot of stories that you could go on and on. But we won't keep you. I mean, we don't want to keep Beth, your boat, Beth Moore, waiting. You want to get down to the marina and enjoy the lifestyle that you've richly earned by selling these quality Christian goods. I mean, anything you'd like to say to your customers, or that you probably want to thank your customer base for being so supportive of you.
Oh, we got the most loyal customer base. Junior, put some Beth Moore books on the shelf. They're flying off right now. We gotta move that plug, Junior. You hear? Anyway, I just want to say to my customers, my listeners, be a blessing. Get a blessing. I'm blessed by every dollar you spend here. That's my motto. Toodles.
Okay, well, there he goes.
That was quick.
Boy, the crowd's parting. So there he goes. So yes, that was quick.
Yeah, he's
check.
really something. He's really famous in this industry, actually. He once shared a box of donuts with Kenneth Copeland, and he once got a text from Chris Tomlin. True story.
Which, I mean, the crazy thing is that you got only one text from Chris Tomlin. Typically, you get the same text over and over and over and over again from Chris, just to make sure that you read it the first time.
Hey, there's another FP in the house.
FP?
Famous person. And if you look over by the main stage, you'll see the FP, songwriter Jackson Jameson Jones. We sell his new CD featuring 2 original songs, Great Great Father and Large Bodies of Water.
Okay. I mean, don't tell me. Great Great Father is a cheap ripoff of Good Good Father?
Well, they're similar.
And Large Bodies of Water. A lot like Oceans, which you do seem to play on loop here.
Is it Oceans or is it Large Bodies of Water? Few can tell. He's very creative, though. You can tell by his tiny fedora and self-assured air.
Well, that's another impressive thing about this store, that you have a famous person like Jackson Jameson Jones, the composer of Large Bodies of Water, and was it Pretty Good, Decent Father, or something like that was the name of the song.
Mike Tyson said that about himself once.
Did you say that he wrote? So that's, I bet our listeners, the kind of people that listen to our podcast in particular, I don't know if you all have heard a podcast out here, but I don't think our listeners care about a cheap knockoff CCM artist. You're not going to make us talk to him, are you?
Oh, not if you don't want to.
All right, listeners, this is a live remote, so do come out and see us at Xander's Action or Christian Store, Christian with an X, lifestyle store. I mean, it's a lifestyle store. It's not really a bookstore at all, is it? I mean, you sell all sorts of things. But we'd love to meet you. You might find something that you could hold your nose and buy here. I don't know. But speaking of music, this is a live radio remote, and we're supposed to play music. That's what, real radio people do. So here's a listener favorite. It's a musical rendition of the 10 Commandments by a group from the 70s, one of our favorite artists called God's Girls.
Great decade.
So as soon as we can get the Oceans music turned down and we get God's Girls queued up here, we're getting it on the turntable. Hold on, let me adjust the speed from 45 to 33, and here we go. We love this one.
Other gods before me, and thou shalt not make any graven image, and thou shalt not take the name of the Lord God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, oh Lord, and keep it holy.
Big fire! Next thing you'll have people singing songs and CD music will go straight in the toilet like the time that DC Talk broke up.
Hold on, Mr. Xander. I'm sorry. So you object to the song about the 10 Commandments. You object because because it would hurt sales or people don't like the Ten Commandments out here? What's the deal?
Next thing you know, people are going to be singing psalms, and there goes my business under the toilet. This is disgusting. You don't play that on it. I didn't pay for that. You hear me?
Oh, all right, Mr. Zander, we've got other music. We've got some hillbilly music we'll play later. And sorry, okay, Mr. Zander, I think he's heading back now. Okay, all right, I'm sorry. I brought it up again. We're done with that. So we won't play the Ten Commandments song. Well, Chastity, it looks like maybe someone else was unhappy with the Ten Commandments music.
Yeah, the dispensationalists over in the Schofield Bible Shed were not happy either. Around here, we try to stay positive and winsome.
Oh, okay. So CFA, I understand. I mean, again, I don't want to bring up something. We've just had a little unpleasant moment here, but I understand that our friend of the show, who's been on the show before, did a famous show with us, D-Bag Worship Guy. He was here in store last week, and that an actual riot actually broke out in the store.
Oh, yeah, it was ugly. There was at least one SWAT team involved and tear gas. Actually, you can sort of still smell it.
I thought that was Axe body spray from the Furtick zone.
You never know.
Well, this certainly is a happening and lively, interesting place, no doubt.
So, did you say y'all were Presbyterians?
Yeah, that's right. We are. All of us are, yes.
Oh, well, we have a Presbyterian church. The pastor's a lady who wears cargo pants, a clerical shirt, and a rainbow stole, and all her congregation is over 80 years old. We don't judge, so it's fine, really.
I mean, I wouldn't exactly say we're that Presbyterian.
Again, we have a no judging policy. It's fine.
Okay, we really aren't that kind, but whatever.
Okay, well, that's the only kind we have. Wait, there was a guy here the other day who said he was Presbyterian. I didn't believe it because he was under 30 and dressed like Dwight Schrute's brother.
Yeah, well, that's yet another kind of Presbyterian, but we probably don't have time, and we might cause another riot if we talked about that.
Really? He looked
yeah.
Amish.
Well,
we hear that, yes.
yeah, and you know, along those lines, I notice, speaking of neck beards, our notes say you have a new product line that you want to promote, missional beard care products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have beard grooming classes, beard pageants, and sometimes we have a photographer out to take beard portraits. The younger pastors really enjoy that stuff.
All right, so do you have like missional theology, missional stuff that's popular even out here in an area like this? It seems strange to me.
Yeah, we absolutely do. That's why we sell puffer vase and counterfeit North Face gear. Oh, well, I wasn't supposed to tell you that, but it's North Face gear. Well, the nearest REI is 75 miles away, and, you know, sometimes the bridges wash out. We do what we can to help. We have classes in worship banjo and box drumming for drummers, and we do encourage the box drummers. You know, the hand drummers, we ask them to wear long pants, though. You really do not want them wearing shorts. We learned that the hard way.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Okay, well, we don't want to dwell on, past unpleasant experiences. But we'll play some more music. We're going to play some hillbilly music this time, and I guess the locals would all like it. It's a guy named Cager McQueen. I think he's from up in Kentucky, hour and a half north of here, maybe. But anyway, you all come see us, listeners. We're contractually obligated to be here for 2 more hours. So, come suffer with us for the cause, I guess. Well, anyway, here's Cager McQueen.
Does anybody smell smoke?
Wake up, America, can't you see the time has come? It seems that you've forgotten God, but thank Him for what He's done. He's made you the greatest nation ever to be known to man. Don't forget that you still need Him to guide you with His hand. They say when the pilgrims landed their feet upon your side, they raised the flag to heaven.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they set it on fire. Hey,
It seems that he's been with you.
No, Junior!
I think we're in trouble.
Junior! They're burning the Beth. Get off the Beth Mall! Junior, they're burning the Beth Mall!
quick, save the cosmetics.
Los Babas! You hoodlums, that's the home of the gravy taco! You're pouring the carnitas all over the parking lot!
Mr. Zander, you need to go move your yacht now.
I get
Now.
10% off that gravy truck!
I can't believe we prompted this, Resby. Is there a back door?
They're cutting the arms off the
Chastity.
Stephen Feudick statue!
Chastity, is there a back door?
Yes, behind the
Humanity!
Stephen Furtick shed. You better
Oh,
go
no,
quick.
I'm not
Mr.
going
Zander,
there.
Humanity!
your chair.
Don't make me get out of this chair, y'all!
You will
man.
die if you don't go to the Stephen Furtick shed.
This
All right, I think we're going to sign off. This is the Presbycast crew, AM
I
9.
hate you, Presbycast! I hate you!
AM 980.
Damnation!
thank you for having us. Don't be an Erdman.
bless
They're
Damnation!
kidnapping me.
You get back here with CFA! Young lady manager! Best balls in
Chastity.
the flames!
My name is Chastity.
Ah, okay, Grace.
All right. All right, now we're back live. No, the recording ends there. So some of you would never have believed that such a thing happened and that we had such a radio experience, but we did. So we recorded that. What's the day? Today's Monday, Saturday, just Saturday. This happened, and well, we lived through it. We're here. We're here, and
Yeah, I mean, we didn't mean to trauma dump on you, but we felt like it was important to share our lived experience.
so just as an explainer, Resby came over for the big live show, and he's here. He's here in studio, and our friend Amish Ambush. He's been on some notable shows in the past. Some great music shows, and there's it says CFA, but that's not who you are. You're really Zoe. Half of the 40% of the Presby girls.
Only
as we
40%.
as we like to say.
I'm the lame
you like that
40%
one, did
of
you?
the Presby girls. Yeah.
So
It's because Sarah's so tall.
yeah. So
Obviously. That's
here
obviously.
we are. Yeah, that was it. It was just
And
an
she's podcasting for 2 nowadays, so she really
just an
does.
altitudinal thing. So yeah, podcasting for 2. True enough. So so we're here together. 3 of us are here, and then Zoe joins us by the magic of the internet. And both Resby and Amish as parole officers always recommend that they not show their face on the internet, and we're going to honor that. So
You can't even tell I have an ankle bracelet on in these jeans.
that's right. That's why you baggies are back.
And we're not supposed to associate with criminals, but here we are with chortles. So.
That's right. An ecclesial outlaw. Long have been.
I just want
So-
you guys to know that Chastity was put into witness protection after what occurred.
Oh, I would think so. I would think the young lady may
She
never be the
married
same.
a PCA pastor and lives in Idaho now.
Idaho's a real state.
Unlike Ohio, as we
Hey.
always like to note.
Not
The
real.
Buckeyes.
Never heard of them.
I once went on a road trip and we had to pass through Ohio up to the mitten-shaped state to the north of it, and one of the riding party was proud to say that at no point in that road trip did he step foot in the state of Ohio. He stayed in the car for the entire state, including pit stops, just to avoid touching it.
Not even to sample the Skyline chili, which
Nope.
is an abomination.
I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
Sounds like a smart man. I've never been to Ohio, and I plan to keep it that way.
It's a beautiful state. Moving sidewalks.
Cincinnati, the San Diego of the Midwest.
I think you're thinking of an airport.
AI since 1980. Like it's paradise in Ohio.
The Reds that haven't won a World Series since
The Indians.
1960.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Guardians.
I'm sorry. I thought they were bringing it back. Did you guys know there's lawsuits? They're gonna bring it back.
That is the Washington Commanders and Redskins.
Oh,
I wish they would bring back the Cleveland Indians. That would be
you're
awesome.
You're right. That's them.
All right, so I implied that there might be taco talk on this show tonight, but I don't think we really got that. We're not going to eat tacos live, but we did eat some earlier.
I mean, we
this evening.
could. There were leftover tortillas. Well, I think Ranger ate the rest of the meat, though.
We could eat them now and just really close to the microphone. And I'm sure our listeners would love that.
It wouldn't even be the first time.
Especially Sarah. You have to do it for Sarah because that's
she
her
loves
favorite.
that.
That's her favorite thing.
She is always chomping on something in that Presbycast episodes, like chips, soup, gumbo.
Yeah. Basically. So
I don't know how you put up with it.
Brad, I'm sure you'll be asked this many times, including along with the question why. But what was the inspiration? What was
Why?
Let me say, someone I'm sure well-meaning has said in the hold on in the comments said, "Come on, Brad, you're better than this." And of course, I'm not actually. No, we. Okay, that's not me because I'm talking. That's yes, chips are being consumed.
Sorry, doing the Sarah.
Yeah,
The Sarah thing.
I think they call this ASMR now or something like that.
Oh, the Presbycast ASMR YouTube channel would do some numbers, like incredible
She's going to beat
numbers.
me up when she sees me in church.
So, I mean, the main reason we're doing this is because we're together and it works better. But I started writing that piece in 2021, and it was really because
On January 6th, if I remember. Literally, you were...
I could have been. I don't know what the date was.
You
but-
texted me and you said, I'm watching the tear gas fly, and
Yeah, maybe that was
Eureka,
it.
I have inspiration.
We need to replicate another hypothetical situation where tear gas will also come up.
Well, so I'll tell you, the real inspiration was I went to this little church. Well, it's not that little, but for prison volunteer training, prison religious volunteer ministry training. And the prison chaplain was there, and you get to this place, and it looks like a normal Baptist church on the outside, but they blacked all the windows out, and they painted everything on the inside black, and they're doing the whole megachurch ethos and visual theme, and they've got a stage, and again everything's dark, and it's so dark out in where you sit that you can't see anything. So they took our prison ID pictures, and I looked worse than normal, which is terrible, and because the lighting was so bad, and they had it was like a mini boiled, shrunken megachurch. They had iPad giving kiosks, and they had the full stage. They probably had a fog machine for all I know, and I could not believe that in this town of 4,000. In what used to be a regular old Baptist church, they were doing the megachurch thing. So then I guess I started thinking about, the Christian bookstore industry has really fallen off. It used to be a chain of 3 big Christian bookstores around here. And that's sort of my visual image for the store. But the incongruity of it, and really the not being able to figure out how or why that happens out there. So yes. Started 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, I guess, really, and we finally did it. So, just because you can doesn't mean you should, but I don't regret it. No regrets, as they say, because there's more to life than being dour and serious all the time, and we shouldn't pretend that all is well in the old evangelical church, I guess.
It's like Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House. All is well. All is well.
Oh, yeah. So that's the reason. That's the genesis of it. And I originally didn't know if you or Sarah would play the female lead, but it turned out to be you.
She would have done a better job. I can tell you that right now.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
not
have
sure
the
she would
accent.
have. Not sure she would have done it though. I don't want to get her in trouble. And you weren't a.
I think it's some of our best voice acting work to date. I've discovered that no one plays myself quite like myself. So
You make some brave choices.
pat on the back to me.
Yeah, the casting director really, I know it was really stressful for her to decide between you and Jeff Bridges for this character, so.
Well, I made some improv lines in there that I don't think David Lynch nor Larry David would have approved of, but it's fine.
Well, David Lynch on Twin Peaks would.
True.
Yes, absolutely. He just would have had you obsessed. He just would have had you scream "Laura" like 8 times during the script.
There's a little David Lynch vibe to that whole thing.
It is weird. Just in the way that the background characters in Twin Peaks are always wearing like really ill-fitting clothing, or just like off-place clothes. Like it's just uncanny in a certain sense,
I don't know. Bob had that drip. You know what I'm saying? That Bob drip. Man, we're doing some deep cut jokes here that 90% of the audience is not going to.
I feel what I was about to say.
Log Lady 100%
100%.
100% has a loyalty card to Xander's.
She sits in the Furtick section glaring at anyone who goes and looks at the theology section.
The log says we should buy some more Beth Moore books.
Plot twist, Xander isn't actually disabled, but he sits in the chair because the log lady has psychically convinced him that he is disabled. And she did this by pretending to murder his brother who started the store with him 20 years ago. And yeah, that's what the skit would have been if David Lynch had directed.
All the while Ann Voskamp screams from within a cabinet knob.
Being at Xander's, was the pie and the coffee on point?
It really isn't very good coffee. They were not kidding. I mean, the memes are correct.
The Kenneth Copeland coffee was not.
If it doesn't come from
I spoke
a
in
they
tongues,
them.
and they almost asked me to leave the store if I took another sip. So,
If it doesn't come from a they them, it's not good coffee.
This show is for the people in the room and Zoe. This is what the show is for.
Well, and that's sort of true. And there are people who are trying to build platforms or impress people, and we've never done that really. I mean, we've become inadvertently relevant a couple of times, but that's really not what we're about. But we've helped spirit dozens of people at least into the Reformed world. So I guess in the interest of being somewhat edifying, let's talk a little bit about this question, which is how to be a Reformed Presbyterian Christian. What's just the survival guide, and what do you expect? I mean, do you expect everything's going to get better and good, and it's just going to be you're going to move on in the victorious Christian life, and Reformed churches have the right doctrine and good ecclesiology, so there are never any problems. That's the best thing, and you'll never have any problems. Your church won't, and just be ready for smooth sailing. But I can tell you, everyone I know in this room and most outside of it, that's not their experience. So let's talk about how to be a Reformed Christian. I've talked about this many times, but a very early Reformed Forum show, Daryl Hart was on there, and and Daryl doesn't remember saying this, but he said, being Reformed is just kind of hard. It's inconvenient. There are requirements on Reformed Christians, like the Lord's Day and images and things like that. 2 worship services often on Sunday. It's just hard being a Reformed person. So I would say it can be hard, but it's good. But how do you do it? Amish, you've been Reformed for 20, 25 years, and what's been your experience with Reformed churches, and what good's it been? What good's it done you? Lean forward a little bit.
Yeah. I'm not having trouble answering the question. I know what I'm going to say, but I'm just appreciating the question. I've got 5 children, and 1 out of the house, and 4 still in the house, and I've just and I remember just and still talk to my kids to this day just about preparing them for this life, and just being a Christian in it, and telling them that God is good. God is good regardless if my son's got type 1 diabetes. God is still good if your parents are going to die someday, which is a little bit morbid, but even during those times, God is good. And regardless of what happens to you, regardless of what happens around you, the one thing that we can appreciate is that, and trust in, is that it is for our good. And just like you think your dad's mean because he won't let you go play in the middle of the street when you're 4, and you don't understand why, and you've got these things that are happening around you, and you don't understand, and they can just kind of be the most terrible things. God is good, and you don't understand, but you can trust. You can trust in the Lord, and your circumstances are not dictated. They don't dictate whether you're in God's good grace or not. And you can just hold on to the fact that it's for the best for you.
Well, I know you've served, you and your family, you and your wife especially, have served our church a lot, but our church has done a lot for you too.
Yeah. We're a single income family. We homeschool. There's a lot of sacrifices that come from that, and there's a lot of relying on the church for that, right? And I make it, I make a decent income, but there's certainly sacrifices, right? And there's times where we've had to ask the church for help, and it teaches you to be humble, and to accept help, and that it's a blessing, and not be prideful and turning that down, right? To accept the blessing that you received. But I just think seeing those examples, seeing the order to back up, what they're preaching, like that's just on display every week at the church. And just raising your kids to be churchmen and to love the church and to love Christ, to rely on Christ. Like that's what it means to be Reformed to me.
All right, very good. Zoe, what would you tell a young lady your age that she's in for? We hear a lot of people that there's implication online, and every time there's a little scandal of one kind or another, some people say, well, there's something built into Reformed, which is, I've often tweeted or written that this is an abused term. There's a lot of Reformed stuff out there that's not. But there's something in Reformed theology because of its cultural background or the theology itself, or there's something about our ecclesiology that we're patriarchal and supremacist in one way or another. There's just something baked in that's terrible. And, we've run into in our area, young women in particular being told by, I won't say who, but people in authority or people with some credibility telling them you'll never be safe in a Reformed church. And that's something we're up against. And, you only have to turn on your phone and get on the internet to run into that. So what would you tell young ladies, young, wives, should they be afraid of the Reformed Church and Presbyterianism? And what should they expect from it?
Man, well, I'm a little biased. I've had a great experience with the Reformed Church in general. But thankfully, what to expect from the church isn't necessarily something that should be baked into a single person's experience. I know it's pretty popular to, at least nowadays, there's a lot of talk online about litigating cases of sin online, which I just don't like that in general, because beyond, I'm all for openness. There's just been several instances of like people's sins being discussed publicly that I get it. People want to know what's happening, especially if it's a public figure who sinned. But beyond transparency, there's only so much you can solve by talking about it. And there's a propensity to talk about Reformed churches failing and sinning. There's a certain, it's hard for me to put words to this, but I feel like it's become popular to do exposés, and to me it just seems a little bit, I don't want to call it voyeurism, but it just seems like you're glorifying and pointing out other people's sins, which it's not, I mean, that's not very Reformed, but I don't know if it is or isn't, but that's something that I've been seeing. So despite what you might find online, the majority of Reformed churches that I've been to or encountered are very normal. They're very normal places. And I don't know. What I would say to young women who have been told you can't be safe at a Reformed church is that's not true. You can. You have to just choose wisely and just be aware that you have to be aware that the system of Reformed polity can't always account for the vastness of human sin, and you have to just be aware that you're never going to be completely free from that. But you should desire to join a Reformed church where you have the confidence that if someone sins against you in a serious way, that they will also take it seriously. So that's important to understand, but that's why, a graded court system is good. But also having trustworthy elders is good. You want to be able to trust your elders. So all that to say, I think it depends largely on church to church. And it's important to know that when you see these extraordinary cases online, it's not that bad things haven't happened, but I'm really hesitant to lend a lot of credence to it, because what gain are we going to make just in Reformed society, Presbyterian society, by constantly wanting to say, okay, here's a bad thing that happened, that's normative for the whole church? I don't think it's true, first of all. And secondly, I just don't think it's virtuous to want to talk about that all the time. I don't know, guys. You can tell me if I'm crazy, but it just doesn't seem right to me. Doesn't hit me quite right. As a woman in a Reformed denomination that cares about its members, I've always had great elders that want to see me succeed, and they care about me. I don't reflect the hesitation in an individual case, sure, but like that's why we have courts. And I know people are going to say, Zoe, the courts can't fix everything, which I know that, but that's just what I think. I don't know, guys.
Resby's a young man, and he's been, you've been Reformed for 10 years, probably.
I've been a
15?
Presbyterian for this will be about, there are dozens of years, singularly.
Okay.
That I've been Presbyterian.
There you go.
No, I liked Zoe's earlier argument that just the argument of like, no, there are plenty of normal people here. Is always people.
We just can't find any, but we're sure they're here.
Yeah, we've heard rumors of them. We're sure there's a church out
I haven't
there.
personally seen any of them, but they're out there, I swear.
I've heard blogs and podcasts about them. I mean, like it's with all the doom scrolling out there, I cannot encourage anybody enough to just unfollow people online. It's so good for you. to just like, hey, this is a thing that I care passionately about. I'm going to actively not follow anyone that talks about it. You'll be so much happier. And you'll realize like, wow, this person did this. And after a couple of years, you'll realize like, I don't even know who this person is. Like what, and it just won't bother you. And I think there's something normal about that because local news stories used to stay local, where something would happen, even on the other side of, 2 counties over, and you would never hear about it because it was just kind of taken care of. And I don't think it's good for us to always, be into everything everywhere. And it's not to say that there aren't some bad things that certainly deserve the ecclesial courts and, God forbid, civil courts even beyond that in the times when it's like needed and necessary. But I don't think it's healthy to be in all of it all the time. It's sort of like when you're on like Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and like you follow a comedian and all they talk about is like their upcoming shows, and it's just like show announcements. And I get it. You don't want the comedian to give up all the jokes for free online, but it would be nice if you got a couple words of like, hey, I'm not just going to be at X improv, but like here's a funny thing that happened to me. So you just kind of tune it out, and it's not always popular. I was certainly a lot more cage stagey about it, even a few years ago. But you kind of get out of the orbit, and you're like, man, it's kind of nice. I just wake up with my family and drink some coffee and go to church on Sunday and live my life according to the standards as best I can during the week, and rely on God's grace for the rest. And like, wow, I'm a lot happier because of that.
I know you never thought you would hear me saying this, but there's something just so amazing and simple about having a normal life that's not online. It's amazing. And I tweeted this earlier in the year, but I said 2025 will truly be the year of the mute button, and I think Resby, you hit it on the head. It's got to be the year of the unfollow button.
Oh, so
absolutely.
The mute button is what you start with, and you mute an account and you be like, I followed this person for a long time. What does it look like if I mute this person for a week? And you can't set a timer like that on Twitter. And what always happens is like you meet that person, and then 6 months later you realize, oh, I never unmuted him. And you're like, I'm not worse off because of this. Like it's actually been a little more pleasant. And you just go in and unfollow them. It's great.
It's amazing. It's really it's underrated. And you know what else is underrated? Grass. Grass is so underrated. Nobody knows this. I feel like Alex Jones. Like nobody knows this. But you can go to the parks. You can touch it for free.
It makes me itch.
You're like Anakin Skywalker, but with grass.
Yes.
It's amazing. You can just log off. It's great. I have a lot that I could say about.
I think we know that.
Nobody is ever
Zoe
surprised.
Has a lot to say about something. It's weird.
It's never really substantive, but I've always got a lot to say, even about nothing at all. It's my rare talent. I have a certain set of skills.
Oh boy.
One of them is remembering song lyrics and titles from the 60s through the 90s, and the other is talking. Talking is my specialty.
All right, so I think the important thing, there's so many people bounce from church to church, and also we're just highly mobile. People have to move for their jobs, and but persistence and consistency, and I don't know what was it. Well, I don't know who the author was. Long obedience in the same direction. That's the ideal for people who are believers, church members, pastors, officers. I said, just keep on, keep showing up, keep availing yourselves of the means of grace, keep repenting, keep believing, and of course knowing all the that we're supposed to work out our salvation with fear and trembling, but we can't do it. And knowing we can't do it, but showing up anyway, that's a good thing. So I think patience and taking a long view. But I mean, what's harder for young people today than patience? and taking any sort of long view. Everything's instant. Everything's changing all the time. And I think there's a virtue in churches not changing very much. You certainly want to get to a good place. But, generally, if the question is, should we change this? Most of the time the answer should probably be no. I think that's true conservatism and true and being humble too, having the humility to say we probably don't have a better idea than everybody else has for the past 400 years, 500 years of the Reformation. So that's diametrically opposed to the business model or corporate model or anything like that. But our way should be different. So, any thoughts on that, guys? Change.
Xander would be very disappointed.
Ordinary, yes. It doesn't sell product very well.
No, I mean, the order of service that, I've enjoyed at my church, like, it has not changed much over the years, right? And, with that, there's a comfort to that, right? There's a comfort to that for my kids. There's an example of, I think that's another good thing about good Reformed Presbyterian churches is that, we're not blown, by the wind, by every service idea or worship idea or pallets or any of that stuff, right?
Our ship lap into banjos.
Yeah. And so, I think you keep church members longer. It's certainly not the mega church of just churning through people and, like keeping people in programs until they burn out and just replacing them with the next one. And
I always like, there's an old, it's predates me in Presbyterianism, so it's at least 13, maybe 15 years old, but there's an old White Horse Inn episode where like Horton and Dr. Rosenblatt are talking about kind of that same thing about just like, you're not churning members, you're not like replacing old initiatives with new initiatives. And you look at like Orange County, California, or any like burned over district where there's been these historic church movements that are all noticeably irrelevant now and didn't do what they set out to do or claimed that they were doing. The match burns really bright at first and then it gets much smaller and eventually the match goes out because it like hits the end of it. But yet there's still churches that are 60, 70, more than that years old who have had the same number of members for that whole time. And there's such an ordinary, reliable grace in that of just, that sustainability in the very real definition and meaning of the word.
And not having that like, apologies, Briarwood, but that mega church mindset, right? We were a little bit late this Sunday, meaning that, we were going to get there right at 10:45 instead of like 10:30. And on the way to the church, there's this mega church. And they start the rolling roadblocks. And you see the traffic blocking up. And
they pay sheriff's deputies to shut down traffic, which is I've always thought that's a great witness to the community.
And that's exactly where my mindset went. And,
well, there's sheriff's cars with Bible verses painted on them. That's the.
You live in the South when.
Yeah. And just being angry at it and just being like, if I'm angry and, the vast 90% of the cars that are on the road are not, getting off at this church. And it's just like, what is the witness to the community where you're like just holding up traffic and, just me being like, okay, I'm never going to run late to church again. And so, majority of Reformed churches, I think, just being faithful, and when you're getting a little bit big, breaking off and doing a church plant and that sort of stuff. So
I can tell you right now, if I weren't married to a pastor, I would be 5 minutes late to church every single Sunday.
But now, one of the things Amish's story reminds me of is the importance of having 2 worship services if you can. Because I know in your family, a lot of times, with health problems in the family, you and your wife take shifts. You'll come in the morning and she'll come in the evening with a couple of the kids and vice versa. Even the Morrises, sometimes if they've got 2 sick kids, Sarah, Sean will come to the service that he preaches at, and then he'll stay home with the kids at night so Sarah can come and play the piano in the morning, they take shifts. But if we only had 1 worship service, that wouldn't even be possible. So 2 worship services is a blessing and a benefit to families, I think. I've heard people say, oh, it's terrible. You take people's whole day and you keep their kids up late and they have to drive to church twice. But there are some people
If the
who really,
pastor is preaching
really
so
appreciate
much,
that.
how can he do other ministry?
or when you got 6 people in the household and the van breaks and you've got the Volvo, you can only send 5. Like it's a blessing.
I mean, there's some
Pretty
pretty.
sure you strapped a couple to the roof one time.
I mean, there's some adequate trunk space in many of these modern automobiles. I mean, they're not 83 Chevy Caprices, but I mean they're sufficient.
That wouldn't give us a bad name. We lock our kids in the trunk. So, yeah.
But there's good shocks. I mean, they'll be fine.
And if you've shown your kids any decent action movie, they know to kick the taillight out so that they can signal to people that they're inside the trunk, right? I mean, just basic stuff.
I mean, I learned it in school.
Yeah.
And I had to put it in practice a couple of times.
Yeah, I know. It's been a minute.
Well, we're not going to go all night. We just wanted to talk seriously for a few minutes and still have a good time even when we were doing that. And we do enjoy being together. And, fellowship is not all that church is about, but it's a big part of it. And one of my friends likes to say that a good measure of the health of a church is how long people hang around after the services. And I think our church and probably Resby's too, people spend a lot of time at church on Sunday, more than they have to, and consider it a privilege to do that and to spend that time. So we're glad to be with you tonight and to be together with each other. And we'll be back. We'll be back next week. Probably not this week. But any parting words that any of our cast of characters have for the listenership?
Immediate credit where it's due. Had BL's habanero mash tonight on some pork tacos. Absolute seal of approval.
Carnitas.
I mean, nothing goes better on pork than something habanero based and a lot of garlic and other things that'll cause some questionable sense out of you. Use your own imagination there, but really was fantastic. And Shadow Chortles has once again been a fantastic host, both in the comfort of the chair and the quality of dinner. So couldn't ask for more.
I said this during the anniversary podcast, but 2 points. I just remember the first Presbycast. We were driving up to Ohio and listened to it with the kids, and Eleanor was like 3, 4, and she's 17 now, like something around there.
No, we've been going for 8 years.
8 years, so
Going
she was
on
9.
Yeah.
Some of our kids were 3 or 4 at the time, but no, it's something that we regularly listen to, on the way to church. And just the just always appreciated the podcast and all that. So thank you. And the second thing I want to say is I think the best addition, although I get a lot of, enjoyment out of the offshoots, whatever, but it's really nice to put on the Presby Girls, and having two daughters that are going to church and being able to play those episodes and give an example of what Reformed women are talking about. Yeah,
you might want to find them some little more normal Reformed women, but I mean, we appreciate it.
No, you're great. Like my daughter Eleanor, she's 17, and she's a Zoe all the way. But I've really enjoyed that series, and if you guys need any encouragement to keep going, the Yoder household, the Amish Ambush household, really enjoys it and gets a lot out of it. So.
That is awesome. I love it. I think we should do it just for Yoder household enjoyment, partially because my mom was a Yoder. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah. Her great grandma came from Pennsylvania, just Pennsylvania Dutch country, just a long time ago. So she's from Colorado. So there might be some distant relation, possibly.
Yeah. North Canton. My great-grandfather, or my grandfather, Alvin, he left the Amish community when he was 18 because the elders had found out that he was hiding a car in the woods.
Oh, no.
And so they gave him a choice, and he left. But, it's like, that's kind of my Amish connection. But anybody that knows me, my wife is much more Amish than I. She's the one with the wood shop and all that kind of stuff. And I couldn't build a doghouse, so. But that's awesome. We need to talk about that more.
That would be really fun.
But not tonight.
Not tonight.
All right.
I have to shout out my co-host, or my fellow cast member, Foghorn Leghorn. That was some really quality voice work. So really look forward to the further installments of Xander's Exian lifestyle story.
I say, boy.
All right. Well, Resby, you are welcome to. We're gonna close it in honor of Zoe. She's a big Isabel Baker fan. I think I've got one of those queued up here. We'll play a little Isabel on the way out. But Resby, you're live. Normally I can't see you when you do your famous parting words, but we're going to be able to enjoy them live tonight. So you have the last word as always.
I'm going to be honest. It is so much easier to do this when there's zero delay between when you start talking and when the person reacts to what you're obviously interrupting them to say. So great episode. Loved being here. Hopefully we can do more live stuff as opportunity arises. It always seems like it's some fan favorites. Maybe we'll do another one from my backyard and the crickets again sometime. But in the meantime, don't be an Erdman.
But the Bible teaches if we'll believe, then God's salvation we will fear. This world's a big letdown. It never keeps its word. Its curses can be heard. This world's a big letdown, but it takes a Lord to stand by His word. This world's a big letdown, a big letdown, nothing but a letdown. This world's a big letdown, but it takes the Lord to stand by His word. There was a man named Daniel who had this report. He was cunning in knowledge, but the Lord He did support. Yes, this world still needs more Daniels who show them Jesus Christ. And God won't treat you like a customer because He's already paid the price. Oh yes, this world's a big letdown. It never keeps its word. Its curses can
What's wrong with you people?